What's up, guys? We are back with another G.I. Joe Classified Series review, taking a look at what is probably the most anticipated figure for a lot of folks in this line, just ever since that first initial release of Snake Eyes, because you can't have one without the other. And Arctic Storm Shadow is not the same as a regular Storm Shadow. So he's finally here. We finally got him, and I have just been dying to check this guy out, because I mean, he just looks like a fantastic ninja figure. He, of course, comes in our standard style packaging for the Classified Series line. Figure in the window. You've got some really cool artwork of him in the corner that wraps around to the spine. This guy is number 35, and then the back of the box gives us that more updated collage style print that gives us, basically the tons of characters that we've already gotten so far. So let's do it. Let's pull them out and take a look. And here we go, out of the package, our Classified Series Classic Storm Shadow. I honestly cannot, off the top of my head, I cannot remember the last time that I looked at a new classified figure. It's been a little bit, so it's nice to be able to get back into this line. And, well, I guess we're kind of kicking it back off with a bit of a bang, because this guy's one that we've needed. Like, he's such a core character when it comes to Joes. And we've been without him for, I don't know, however long this line's been going. I can't keep track of things anymore, but I'm really happy to have this guy. And frankly, this guy seems like he is exactly where Classified Series needs to be. There's so much about this figure that is just, I don't know, just good. So let's see what he can do, see how he moves around. He's still very normal for the line. That's not a negative, right? Because generally speaking, they move really well. So we've got a head that can look super far up. The neck is also articulated. He can look down. Despite having the hood down, it's in the way, really. He can still look down really nicely. You've got nice tilt side to side because of that neck. Of course, you've got full rotation. Arms are going to go all the way out at the shoulder. Of course, we're going to go all the way around. We do have our butterfly joint. It goes backwards and forwards. We've got our bicep swivel, double jointed pinless elbows, which just look fantastic. We've got a vertical hinge and rotation on the left, your right. And what's he got over on this side? He's also got another vertical. So 2 vertical hinges at those wrists. Crunch goes super far back and really nicely forward. It does, of course, have the ball peg at the waist. So, he's got tilt side to side, and you can sort of push him back even further, push him a little bit forward further. And then, of course, it's also a rotation point down there. So you've got your waist twist, waist swivel with the ball, legs all the way out. Full splits on this guy. Of course, that makes perfect sense. He should be able to do that. And we've also got our drop downs. So drop down hips, which do help quite a bit just to be able to pose him. Legs go out all the way. There you go. Kick back a little bit too. You've got your thigh twist up here. Double jointed pinless knees. Again, looks great. Really happy with that. I'm glad to see that getting more and more in this line. We've got a boot cut, which is really nicely hidden by those wraps. And then we've got a really, really nice rocker and hinge down at those ankles. So, like I said, he's very normal for this line, because this line is very much, at the forefront of articulation in many ways when it comes to Hasbro stuff these days. But he's also a little bit different because he's fully pinless, and he looks fantastic as a result, but he's also very fluid. Joints are tight, but not in a negative way. He just stands really, really staunchly still, and I'm very happy with just being able to move him around, get him into some crazy poses, because he's a ninja. He's supposed to be able to do that kind of stuff. Now, all that said, he looks just as good as he moves. Like, he's fantastic when it comes to just nailing a really classic style Storm Shadow. But, crazily enough, this guy has army building capability, because if you really wanted to, just acetone that Cobra logo off, and you've got yourself a regular ninja in white clothing. So, get a couple extras, and you've got yourself a little squad. So who knows? Maybe that'll make him even harder to find. But he is a pretty fantastic looking figure. Again, fully pinless, and that does, at least for me, that just makes him look so much better. A lot more seamless. There's nothing to break up this sculpt, and all of his, really almost everything except for the ab crunch on this guy is really well hidden and really tucked in. Everything's very tight. when it comes to these cuts all over the figure. He does have a lot of texture on the pants and on the gi. You know, it's very textured. It's got kind of like a cross weave patterning to it, and you can sort of see a lot of the texture on the gauntlets wraps and the foot wraps down here because they do have a little bit of paint on them just to sort of shade them out and make them look a little tattered, a little worn. He's got, you know, the kind of telltale ninja feet, ninja shoes, and it just looks really clean, really slick. I mean, I really like these arms. Tons of musculature, great sculpt in there. You know, not super huge, but definitely a very in shape ninja. And of course, again, pinless. So, you know, look at that profile. Nothing breaking it up, nothing getting in the way. It looks really good. This piece right here, floating, so it doesn't hinder his movement. So it's supposed to be the continuation of, you know, the torso's clothing. You've got a little bit of a belt here, and it has a sash on the back, so you can pop that on. It's a separate piece. You pop this on, it comes in the box, and you've got your little sash back there. He does have a hole in his back for a quiver and sheaths, and we'll talk about that when we get to accessories. And then you've got your little shuriken bandolier that goes over top of that. It's got a little wear and tear on it. It does have some patterning just to make it look like sort of leather, and then you've got those ninja stars done up in super metallic silver on that also. Again, back to the Cobra logo, which is really clean and crisp. It's definitely going to pop against that white. The tampo is really nicely done, but rub that thing off, and this guy is just a ninja, which, you know, again, it's kind of nuts to think that this guy could be an army builder because of that, but that's the only real discernible thing about him. You could, you know, take the little strap off and make him a little bit less unique in that regard if you wanted to just have him without that. So, you know, I'm giving you ideas, I guess, as far as how to army build Storm Shadow, but it will work, and it's going to look really good because this guy just has very nice telltale ninja aesthetic. You know, he is of course sleeveless, but I think it works really nicely. And then you've got your head sculpt up here, which looks fantastic. He does have the floating piece for the hood that is down. We do get a hood that you can replace it with, but this just sort of sits over top, so pop the head off and you can take it off if you don't want that on there. But what's really nice about this guy is the photo printing for the eyebrows and those eyes in particular. He has got one hell of a furrowed brow, and he just looks super stern and very much like someone you're not going to want to mess with. This guy is definitely ready to throw down against Snake Eyes. I think this head sculpt is very clean, very, very just smooth. It looks really good. These lines help to break it up just ever so slightly, but otherwise, I mean, it just looks great. I'm really, really happy with the way this guy turned out. And if anything, you know, he's probably one of the figures to beat in this line when it comes to articulation, when it comes to just nailing that look. You know, if anything, Snake Eyes is definitely been knocked down a peg just because he still has pegs. No pun intended there. So this guy has a one-up on him just because he's got the ability to take advantage of all this quote-unquote new toy technology. But he is a really, really nice-looking figure as a result of coming out in this line now. Now, as far as accessories goes, Storm Shadow has quite a spread, and he can have almost every single thing that he comes with on him. Right now he has all but one thing on him, which, you know, I always like, just so I don't lose stuff. So he does get the extra hood that I mentioned previously. So this is the one thing that's not on him right now. So this is the hood that's down around his neck, and then this is the extra piece for the hood, so it's up. I will say one thing to keep an eye out on. The hood might be a little warped in the package because of how it sits in the blister tray, but you can, you know, mess around with it, heat it up a little bit if you need to, just to get it back to the way it needs to be. I do think I prefer hood down, just personally, you know, just for my own personal reasons, not because one is necessarily better than the other. I think he just looks a little cooler with it down. We do get the sash that goes on the back of the belt that I mentioned previously. You know, it's got a big peg. You probably want it in there at all times anyway. And then we get his quiver of arrows and the sword scabbard, sheaths that peg into his back. So there's that hole that I mentioned earlier. And this is the apparatus that actually, you know, has all his stuff. So our quiver with our arrows, and the feathers have a little red paint on them. And then you've got the sheaths built into the quiver. So it's all one piece. The bow and arrow here actually pegs onto this triangular peg, so it's keyed. And then you've got, you know, your bow right here, and then you can pop the arrow in, and it does have a little notch that it actually sits in. It's not relying on you sort of balancing it, because I've said it pretty much any time a bow and arrow figure comes up, I usually don't like them just because I find them to be very cumbersome. This one doesn't seem to be so bad, and he does have hands that are meant for this kind of thing. He's got a gripping hand. He's also got a bow and arrow holding hand, which also double as, you know, just regular gripping hands. I wish he came with fists just because that's not all that common in the classified line. I'd like to see that a little bit more, but he still has a bunch of stuff. And then we've also, of course, got his swords that go into the sheaths here, and they are different. I mean, they're similar, but they're different sizes. So they are the same kind of sword, just one's longer, one's shorter, and then they both have the same hilt with the snake head at the end, just up in black plastic with some nice metallic silver. But it all fits on him really well, so I'm very happy to see that. I like that. It makes for a more cohesive figure for me when I can just put everything on him and I don't have to worry about it being in a bin somewhere. So yeah, overall, I mean, this guy's what? Probably if not, like, you know, top 3, top 5, maybe even the top figure in the classified line right now. He's fantastic. And, you know, there have been a lot of really, really good figures in this line. Maybe not recent, but recent in terms of the line's history. It just seems to be getting better and better and better. And this guy is a sum of a lot of those parts, really. There's great articulation here, new pegless joints, tons of accessories, and just fantastic paintwork, great design aesthetic, and he's a really, really cool looking figure. Like I said, you know, he's so good you could take that sash off, take the bandolier off, acetone off that Cobra logo, and you've got a really solid looking just ninja, which unfortunately I'm probably going to try to do that because, you know, of course I need to try and army build a named figure. So that's going to do it for this look at the G.I. Joe Classified Series Storm Shadow. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.